Hey y'all, welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to be making some unusual country southern side dishes. So I'd like to welcome you all to my channel. My name is Leslie. If you're new here, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss anything. Everybody knows I would love nothing more than for you to be a part of the Farm and Pastor's Wife YouTube family. So stay tuned. We're going to make some unusual side dishes. Okay, so it's the dishes I'm going to make is really not all that unusual. But when I say southern or countryside dishes, you normally think of mashed potatoes, green beans, fried squash, fried okra, mac and cheese, squash casserole. Those are potato salad. Those are your normal southern side dishes that people think of. But today we're doing a little different. This is some of these vegetables, or not some of these vegetables, because I'm sure you've heard of all of them, but maybe somebody hasn't heard of the first one we're going to use. If you watched my channel the other day where I went to the farmer's market, I picked up some purple whole peas. So many people said, what's purple whole peas? Well, let me tell you a little bit about them. They are like a crowder pea, if you know what a crowder pea is. They are very similar to a black-eyed pea, but they have just a slightly different taste texture. And they happen to be my favorite. My favorite black-eyed peas. Purple whole peas. And let me tell you, if I grow them in my garden every year, and I love to grow them because when you pick them, when the shell or when the outside turns purple, you know they're ready to pick. And so you just start picking the things that look purple. And that's where they get their name, purple whole peas, and they are delicious. So I'm going to grab them out of my refrigerator. I'm going to give them a good wash, and then I'll bring you back and we will get started. Y'all, it's been a hard, long, hot day here on the farm. So I'm doing just easy supper. And this is something that's got to cook for just a little while to get good and soft. So I can put that on here and then go get ready. So when I say get ready, I mean like wash the stink off, because I have been working hard today. My arms and hands are clean, but I'm hot and sweaty. So sure you needed to know that. But anyway, so let me get everything out of the refrigerator. Okay guys, here are our purple whole peas, and I've got some side meat here. Now we'll talk about this in just a little bit. I guess I need a sharper knife, but I'm just going to put a couple of pieces of this side meat in it. Oh man, that side meat right there would be delicious in my white beans. I wish I was doing my white beans today. But I really like purple holes, so I'm going to save these and do my white beans tomorrow. Here we go. All right. So we'll talk about different ways of seasoning it in case you don't have side meat or whatever. So to that, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of salt. The side meat has some, but has salt in it, but you do need a little extra. And we're going to give a good covering of water. And you need quite a bit of water because it will boil out. Because we're going to bring this to a boil. We're going to let it simmer for a good long while on the stove. So let me get that going over here on the stove, and I'll be back and we'll talk about different ways of seasoning if you don't have side meat, if you don't like side meat, different things we can do. Okay, so I'm going to add another vegetable to that when it's ready, when it gets cooked. But let's talk about seasoning your beans or anything. Different ways you can do it, because you may not have side meat or you may not have bacon in the house. I know that when I was, I didn't buy groceries for a while because we were getting ready to do the remodel, and I wanted everything out of here and to use everything up. And there was a few times I was like, oh no, I don't have anything. Well, let me tell you, you just need some good oil and some salt. That's perfectly fine. But I'm going to give you some other alternatives to oil and salt, or butter and salt. Of course, the side meat. That's a good old Southern staple, or fatback. But here's some other things you can do. You can cook it with chicken broth. If you don't have chicken broth, use water and some bouillon, or and just add just a tad bit of oil to it. This is a good one. If you don't have bouillon, if you don't have chicken broth, if you don't have any of that stuff, y'all are going to think I'm crazy, but do you have a slice of sandwich meat somewhere? That will give it just enough, because you want the vegetable. You want to taste the vegetable, not all the other stuff. So that'll give it just enough to give it a little oomph and flavor. And of course, let me tell you, when I do green beans, now if they're canned green beans, I do doctor them up. But if I'm cooking green beans fresh from the garden, I saute them in olive oil. That's it at first. And I just get them salt and olive oil, and I just get them, and they turn bright green. They turn this beautiful green. And then I add water and cook them. And they taste amazing. Amazing. Of course, I know we don't always have fresh green beans. And so, but when you're using canned green beans, I do doctor them up just a little bit. Especially store-bought. Especially store-bought can. So yeah. So this is one of the vegetables I'm doing. I know not everybody has heard of purple hull peas, but I absolutely adore them. And so that's going on my list of unusual Southern side dishes. And it's really not that unusual, but it's not one you see in restaurants, and it's not one that you see everywhere. So now let's talk about the other one, and then I'm going to go take a cold shower because I am so hot. Let me tell you about the other one. I don't know if any of you have ever had the cafeteria. I don't know how far reaching this cafeteria is, but there's a K&W cafeteria in our area. And they have a side dish on their buffet, and it is stewed tomatoes and okra. Now I've seen scalloped tomatoes before where they put bread in it, and but that's not what I'm talking about. But it's similar, but just no bread, and it has okra. So I am going to try to recreate that. Let me tell you how much I love that side dish. When we go to K&W, which we don't even have one in Asheboro anymore, and I don't know if Greensboro or Winston still has theirs, but when I go and they have tomatoes and okra on their cafeteria line, I order 2 of them. That's how much I love it. They do add sugar, and I'm going to add sugar. I've tried to recreate this before, and it didn't go well. Theirs has a thickness and a smoothness to it, but not overpoweringly like gravy. And so what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to make a cornstarch slurry and add in there. And we're just going to try it. This may be a bomb in a good way or a bad way. It may be a success or a failure, but we're going to try it. I absolutely love K&W's tomatoes and okra. I know that is probably not one of the top 10 Southern side dishes, so I'm going to add it to the unusual side dishes. But it's so good. So good. And all right, so I'm going to go take a shower because I have sweated so much today. And that way I'll be clean for supper. I'm going to let these beans keep cooking, and I will see you guys in just a second. Let me show you, while I'm gone, while we're waiting on these peas to cook, let me show you a little bit of what I did today. Hey guys, welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. Today you're seeing me in a role you don't usually see me in. I have definitely filmed the boys doing this work, but today, on this hot 90+ degree day, I'm going to be doing it. So I'm going to be raking hay with that, and then Bryant's going to be baling hay in the air condition. Anyway, so he's getting the greasing the baler and getting it all ready. I have gone in the house and gotten 2 frozen waters out of the freezer, and I made myself a lemonade. And oh my goodness, do I ever need it. It is hot. So anyway, I'll see you guys out in the field. Okay, so I got so hot. Let me show you a picture of my face. I did one field, I raked one field, and let me show you what my face looked like. Hang on. So when I finished that field, I said, Brian, I've got to go cool off. I've got to go, I cannot. Well, I got to the house and I could not get cool. Like even in the air condition, I felt like I was still out in the heat. I was not cooling down. So Bryant came in to get some water, and he was bailing behind me, and he says, well, you don't have to go back. Your brother showed up and he can rake. And so I'm so thankful. So I said, well, I'll go check the chickens and make sure everything's going good here, and I'll do my paperwork, because when they first get here, they bring you paperwork on your chickens for this flock. So I'm organizing that and getting that in order. So that's what I'm doing back over here, and I'm finally starting to cool off just a little bit. It's still really hot, and for me to say I'm hot, that's a big deal, because I don't ever get hot. But anyway, so now let's check and see how those peas are doing. Whew, okay y'all, that feels so much better. I've got my hair washed, pulled it back, and made sure I didn't have any loose hairs. So now we're going to start on the second side. I don't have any garden tomatoes anymore, because what I did have, I ate. I either slice them up in chunks and just salt and pepper them and eat them like that, or make tomato sandwiches, or if I fry okra, I'm going to have them with fried okra. So what I'm using is some canned tomatoes, store-bought canned tomatoes. I know, but some years are just different than others. So I'm going to pour them here in this pot. And I know this is kind of gross, but I want to break these up a little bit. So I'm just kind of going to come in and, whoo, and you want to squish them in the pot, because they will squirt, as you see. And just kind of break them up a little bit. I want to keep them big chunks, but I do want to break them up a little bit. It's kind of fun, actually. Kids would enjoy, especially boys would enjoy squishing these tomatoes. Bring them in, wash their hands really impeccably good. And, like, I think the diced tomatoes are still, it's too uniform for me. And, in this, I can leave some big pieces, and, that one squirted. But yeah, the kids would enjoy this. If you don't mind having tomato on your ceiling, the kids would enjoy this part. Okay, all right. So now let me wipe my hands. I'm going to spoon out just a little bit of that liquid to make my slurry with. And I'm just gonna get out just a little bit. That should be enough, and if not, I can just add water to it. I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna put this on, start getting these heated up. Let me go ahead and salt them some. I'm gonna also put some onion powder. And we're gonna put sugar in just a little bit. But I'm gonna get the onion powder. I'm gonna get these on to, well, just a dash or two of onion powder, and get these on to simmer. It looks like supper is going to be me by myself tonight, because Bryant is still working hay, and he says he's working till he's done. So I'm gonna eat supper, and then I'm gonna head to town a little bit. So I'll meet you back in just a little bit. Okay guys, I'm going to use about a tablespoon of cornstarch. We're going to mix this tomato juice in it. I may need some water. I believe that's all right. Okay, so now I'm going to start with a third of a cup of sugar. All right, I'm going to start with a third of a cup of sugar. I think I said that before I cut the camera off, but theirs is really sweet. K&W's is really sweet. And some of the tomatoes have these like hard ends. If you find one, just kind of pinch it off. Well, it don't look like I can. Anyway. So I'm going to add some water, just a little bit of water to this. And then I'm going to taste it to see if it needs any more sugar, or salt, or onion powder. I'm going to add just a little bit, because you need something for the okra to cook in. You don't want much or it'll be too watery. Okay. All right, let's grab a spoon and give it a taste. I'm just going to taste the liquid. I may have put too much water. Perfect. Oh my goodness. So now I have sliced up some homegrown okra that my friend William from church has given me. William and Trudy gave me this. I think this was last night at church. No. Yes. So we're going in here. We were fasting most of the day today. I fasted a little bit yesterday, and I fasted today for just portions of both days. We have a special ministry project that our church is involved in, and we were supposed to fast on Wednesday, which is yesterday. Of course, we had our meal at church already scheduled, and we had a speaker coming, so we didn't fast yesterday, so we were going to fast today. So what I did, because it's with the medicine I take, it's hard to fast all the time. I mean, a whole day. So I kind of fasted a couple meals yesterday and a meal today. So we're going to let this okra cook, and I'll be right back in just a minute. Okay guys, so let's take a look at these beans. See how it comes up with like a gray gravy? That stuff is some kind of good, let me tell you. Okay, and I mentioned I was going to add in a vegetable. Now, I have frozen garden fresh corn on the cob, but I forgot to freeze any by cutting it off off the cob. So I'm having to use canned corn. But I mix canned corn or just corn or frozen corn. Whatever you like, whatever your preference. And oh, this is so good. Now, y'all are gonna laugh when I tell you what I fixed with this. Okay, y'all, so you're gonna laugh when I tell you what I'm having for supper. Besides my purple whole peas and corn and my tomatoes and okra. I've sliced up some hot dogs in half, and I'm going to bake them off in the oven. I love that. I really do like that for an easy, quick supper. And y'all know I'm like the queen of biscuits. I make biscuits all the time. Love making biscuits. I can make them from scratch. I can make them from Formula L. I can make them the 2-ingredient biscuits. I know biscuits. But when I have purple hulls and corn, do you know what I want with it? Do you know what I want with it? I want hypocrite biscuits. Do y'all know what hypocrite biscuits are? Hypocrite biscuits are canned biscuits from the grocery store. That's what Bryant's family always called canned biscuits, was hypocrite biscuits. And so I've got me a few right there. Opened the can. Got my hot dog sliced, ready to go in the oven. Waiting for the oven to preheat. I got to make my tea. And supper will be served. So I will see you guys in just a little bit when we sit down. Just me and you, because Bryant's in and out, and he's going to be working in hay. And he says he's probably not going to stop until it's done, because rain is coming. Rain is coming, and we got to beat the rain. And Caroline's trusses came today. The roof line stuff came today. So they're back on the job tomorrow over at her house. So we got a lot going on. And I've got to make a grocery run tomorrow. So we got a lot. So I'm going to make my supper. And then I'm going to collapse because I am exhausted. I have worked so hard today. So, okay. I'll meet you back in just a little bit. Okay, y'all. Well, let me tell you. I have nailed the tomatoes and okra from K&W. The cornstarch was the key. I got my sweet tea here and my unusual vegetables. So I have my tomatoes and okra in here, my purple hull peas and corn here, and I like the fried hot dogs, or I actually broiled them. I like them a little on the charred side. So I have said my blessing. I'm here by myself. I have thanked the Lord. And now I'm going to show you how I eat the purple hulls and corn, and why the hypocrite biscuit is so important. If the biscuit's not too hot, I'm going to show you. No, it's not. It's good. Perfect. I make me a sandwich. Oops, I'm spilling purple hulls and corn. I make me a sandwich with a biscuit. Hold on, guys. Sorry. And see, sometimes I don't get enough on there. So what I do is I take a bite. And then I just take a forkful and put more in. Y'all, I don't know how to explain the difference between purple hulls and black eyes, but if you've ever had Crowder peas, the purple hulls are more like Crowder peas. This is one of my favorite suppers, and it's so easy and simple. Now, I've never made the tomatoes and well, I've made them that one time, and they weren't good. They were like watery, and they just weren't that good. So let's taste them and see. I mean, I've already tasted them, but anyway. Y'all, tastes just like K&W's. And if you haven't had K&W's and you need to fix this, if it's a little too, these are sweet. They're not overly sweet, but if you don't like your tomatoes that sweet, then cut back on the sugar. But that was the thing I liked about K&W's, is they were sweet, and then I would salt them on my plate. They were so good. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Sorry guys, something went down the wrong pipe. But y'all, the cornstarch made this dish. So it gives it just, it doesn't make it thick like a gravy, so it's still, but it thickens it just enough, and it kind of just gives it this silky, I don't know how to describe it other than it's just delicious. So be sure to make these unusual country side dishes that's not normal. And I know that baked off weenies aren't normal either, but one of my favorite meals. Mama made this when I was growing up, and I loved it. Loved it. I loved it. So y'all, I hope you enjoy these, again, these unusual side dishes, even though they're not really like really weird. They're just not ones you'd see on a restaurant menu. So thank you guys for watching The Farm and Pastor's Wife. I'm sorry you missed Bryant today. It's just been a long, hard day on the farm. So y'all have a great night. I will see you next time. And remember, if the grease is hot enough, you can fry anything. Bye, y'all.